Today, we're going to talk about reconciling what you want with what you're willing to do. This has been instrumental in me being able to get promoted in my career, complete Ironman races, ultra marathons, and to become a multi-millionaire. Once I started going through the exercise of asking myself what I want, what it took, and understanding what I was willing to do. Let's dive into this together. It's a topic that's really close to my heart. I know if I hadn't done the reconciliation, I wouldn't have achieved those goals. But before we get into that, I want to share something that happened recently. I got a DM on Twitter. Someone asked me, what's one piece of advice you often share to help others achieve financial freedom and live a fulfilling life? Let's take a step back. That's a pretty kick-ass question to get from someone in your audience. So I really enjoy those messages. Feel free to DM me, hit me up by email, reply to comments to the video. Love it. My answer, though, was really simple. It's the same advice I've been teaching my boys since they were 9 and 6 years old. And it's something I will never tire of sharing. Know what you want. Understand what it takes. Do the work. Day in, day out. That's the fucking recipe for life. My son actually simplified it even further. Know, plan, do. Know, plan, do. I love it when someone can take what you've been teaching and make it even simpler. It's a clear sign they've been listening and internalizing what you're saying. But there's a rub, and it's something I don't always talk about. Somewhere in that process, from knowing to doing, there needs to be a reconciliation. Let's work through an example together. Let's say you want a six-pack. That's your goal. But getting a six-pack requires consuming less than 1,500 calories per day. Now, let's say you aren't willing to eat less than 2,000 calories per day. Do you see the rub? You're not going to get your six-pack. And that's okay if you're okay with it and you reconciled yourself to it. If you're willing to do what it takes to achieve what you want, there's no need for reconciliation. But if you're not willing to do the work, you really only have two choices. You can understand what you'll get from what you're willing to do, and you can be happy with it. Or you can recognize you don't really want it and move on. Those are the two logical, reasonable approaches. But that's not what happens in life. You can either reconcile to a lesser goal or you can move on. But that's not what people want. They don't want to reconcile. They want a lot. Heck, social media shows them every day what they want and what they don't have. It's shoved in your faces non-stop, but they don't do their homework. They don't do the work to understand what it actually takes. If they do, they rarely say, roll up their sleeves and get to work. That's too hard. It's not for them to work that hard. They want to work smart. Surely there's a shortcut. When they're still wanting without doing and minus the reconciliation, they tend to do a few things. They blame, complain, or get angry. Blame's easy. It's super easy to point the finger when you want something and don't get it. To blame others, the left, the right, the government, someone. But as my business partner Alex always says, when one finger points out, two fingers point back. Often the blame lies within. If we know what it takes and aren't willing to do it, there's nobody to blame but ourselves. This really resonates with a tweet that I read recently. Something along the lines of, incompetent people hate capitalism. If you're competent and you work hard and you go after what you almost never hate capitalism. Complaint. The complainers. Fucking energy vampires. I cannot handle complainers in life. It's not in me to rail at everyone or everything holding me back. It never was, and it never will be. Now I can hear it. Some of you are out there saying, easy for you, Clint. You're a rich, cis, heterosexual, middle-aged white guy. First of all, when did we start having to add that qualifier to every single thing we've achieved in life? Because I can tell you, for 33 years, I didn't achieve fuck all. It wasn't until I changed my mindset, my habits, and my behaviors that I started to achieve something. All right, away from the complaining, back into the story. 100%, you're right, and you're wrong. I don't think this way because I'm rich. I'm rich because this is the way I've always thought and how I live, right? Flip that on its head. For sure, there's privilege out there. But don't always look at someone who's ahead of you in the game and say to yourself, they're only ahead of me because they have privilege. Instead, understand how they got to where they are and figure out how you can apply those rules in your life. Look, I've had ADHD my whole life, suffered from depression for 20 years, and in hindsight, there was a period in my life where I was possibly suicidal before I was diagnosed and got help. It's part of me, but it does not define me, and I almost never talk about it. There is no time to complain. There's work to be done. Do yourself a favor and cut the energy vampires from your life. The last one is get angry. We've all seen the gif of the crazy woman who's angry and raging. Don't be that person. That's the face of someone choosing an emotion over action. But here's the thing. If that person chose action and reconciled the action with their goals, you'd almost never see that face. Action towards your goals creates happiness and satisfaction. As Thomas Carlyle said, the man without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder, a waif, a nothing, a no man. We see so many angry people on TV, the news, and social media. They're lost, without purpose. Without purpose, they're aimless. They have no path, and without a path, there's no purpose-centered action. So their energy is misdirected to anger. They're unreconciled. Don't be them. Choose instead to be the light. Choose to be the person that reconciles their actions and behaviors with their desired goals and outcomes. Reconciliation isn't about giving up. It's about aligning your actions with your true desires and living life with purpose. Until next time.